Good morning. I hope it's light enough to film. It's like 6:30. It's very overcast. Man, did we have some storms last night. The first line came through. I could hear the thunder in the distance about 11:15. And man, it was a pretty good lightning show. A couple of them were pretty close to clapping thunder, and it rained pretty hard from 11:30 till maybe 1 o'clock. And I came out right away at 11 o'clock and looked around the table and put things away, unplugged things, got the phones off the chargers and cameras and all that stuff. Put some things back in the cases. I couldn't sleep then, so just laying in the tent, listening and watching the tent light up. And then it died off, and I actually did fall back asleep. But then a second line of storms came through about 3:34, and man, it poured again. And I'll show you the tent. The tent leaks a little bit down at the bases, but for the most part, I'll flip it around here. Our setup, the wind did nothing. I mean, our tent's fine. You can't see it behind the CRV, but the Easy Up, the new Easy Up that we got, it held up just fine. I mean, we have it staked down, but like you can't even see the ridge back there. And our poor neighbor here that came in last night, man, his canopy got destroyed, just crushed. It was just super windy. Was that first line of storms. And, I'll come into this site here and show you ours. I have the tent flap still hanging over. She's still in there sleeping, but she slept right through it all. The tent and the canopy held up just fine. And I think our problem with the leak is there at the side. There's an air flap. Not air flap, but like ventilation flap, which is really necessary with this tent because it does get warm in there with the sun. But I think we get the splash between the water coming down and hitting the ground and coming back up, or the water coming off of this and run down here. So, there she is. Morning, sunshine. Oh yeah. So yeah, to say the least, that was probably one of the biggest, baddest storms we've been through while camping. We heard on the radio last night they were saying there was a chance that a line of storms could come through, but they were saying more towards morning. I think that one that came through at around midnight there was just like a pop-up storm or something. But the thing I noticed most laying in that tent was it was the most impressive thunder I think I've ever heard in my life. And I think it's just because it was, rolling up one side of the valley and the next. It lasted so long, and you could just hear it fading off into the distance. It was really impressive. So I'll stick my head in the tent here real quick and show you what we got going on. Turn this around. There's just a trickle of water there. And if you notice, this trickle of water comes from, it gets dark up in there. It comes from underneath where my bag is there. It's coming from that corner, but for the most part, except for my footprints there, our tent floor is dry. There's our fan running, but our tent floor is dry. Our tent holds up really well. I don't think I've ever. This stuff got a little wet. Our surge protector that we plug in got a little wet. I got that drying, but this end of the table did pretty good. But back to the tent. I don't think I've ever owned a tent that didn't leak somewhere. I mean, they just do. Maybe maybe if you get one of them older ones, or those canvas tents and some of those backcountry tents that those guys use, some of those are probably pretty good. But I have no real complaints. I mean, it stormed. What are you gonna do? It's summertime. It was very hot yesterday. That's what happens. There's storms. But we're gonna straighten things out here this morning. I think my kid's gonna come back this morning, and maybe if it clears off, we can get. We want to do this Lyman run trail down here at the bottom. Maybe spend some time at the lake. And go from there. We'll see what the day brings. It's going to be a slow roll. The camp chairs, even though I stow the camp chairs like I normally do, and I fold them up and I stick them underneath the legs of the picnic table, and that it was blowing so hard that they got wet too. So we're gonna have to dry some things out here today and see how it goes. Well, that on the suspension bridge, hanging out. A walk this morning. We're fighting Mother Nature. It's been raining for 5 minutes, and then the sun comes out for 30 seconds, and then I don't know if I can get this new stick. It's pretty intense. A nice little footbridge here. A little bouncy. Get the angle right on that. We'll see what the girls found. So the last couple minutes of this was we left Lyman Run State Park. Just outside of it is where the Susquehanna Trail System comes across, and we found what we called Mushroom Island. There's a campsite there. There's a bench there dedicated to a worker. Three different types of bridges there. The last one was a little scary. It's a log with a cable on it, and it was bouncing all over the place. It was crazy, but we probably spent a good 45 minutes just like hanging out in there. There was all kinds of things to see. There was a mist over the water. You know, it would try to rain on us. There were mushrooms everywhere, and the campsite was just really cool to hang out at. And I love bridges, so we had a lot of fun there. And if you're ever at Lyman Run and you need something to go see that's really neat, just leave the park, go past the maintenance building, head north there towards Coudersport, and like I said, where the trail crosses over the road there, Jake's Trail, I think it's called. Hop out. There's a couple picnic tables there. There's a nice little camp spot there. It was really enjoyable to spend time there.